Telling our stories is the connective tissue of the collective human experience. The Just Keep Talking podcast delves into the lives and stories of artists. What is the impact of mental health on creativity? What does it mean to be a creative individual? Someone who feels deeply, experiences joy and pain intensely, and navigates the challenges of life through the creative process. With each story shared, we explore the authentic experience of our basic need to be seen, to be heard, and to belong. We're really not so different from one another, nor are we alone. Together, we can inspire, encourage, and enlighten each other to find the true joy and fulfillment that is within ourselves. When we just keep talking, we create the space for gratitude, self-acceptance, and grace in everyday life. In a world filled with divisiveness, fostering inclusivity and connection is a powerful way to make a positive impact. The Just Keep Talking podcast with me, Brother Love, because your story matters. Thank you so much for tuning into the Just Keep Talking podcast. You can like and subscribe and share this show that is now available on all podcast platforms. You can also support this show by clicking the tip link in the show notes.
When they ask where Santa's gone, I'll tell them your house and mine. When they ask about their birthdays, I'll tell them that they get one twice. And if they ask whose fault it is, I'll take the blame just for the kids. If this is goodbye.
My guest this week is Louie the Singer. Hello.
What's up, man?
How are you?
Man, I'm blessed to be here, man. CMA Fest week.
CMA Fest week. Your record has just come out. One for the Hometown. Out now as of June 6th on MCA. Produced by Nick Bailey. Your record celebrating the heritage, passion, and the journey of a Texas-born artist. Rooted in your Mexican-American background, Louie, you, weaves a colorful tapestry of cultural influences into your music, reflecting your Fort Worth upbringing and the stages that you now command. Your story is one of resilience, fueled by deep love for your performances and an unwavering determination to pursue your dreams. It's so good to have you here.
Thanks, man.
That's the little commercial, and anybody can Google all the good things about you, but I want to get to know you.
Yeah, man, let's do it, man.
Let's do it. You grew up, you're a Mexican-American, correct? And you grew up in Texas.
Yeah.
Now, when I was introduced to you, I was told that you, I hate to use the word should or could have, but been a statistic.
Correct.
What does that mean?
I think they're referring to the prison stuff, the background. But I was a statistic at one point. But I still am. But I'm on the positive end. They say the 5 out of 10, I'm the other 5. The 6 out of 10, I'm one of the 4. I'm proof.
But going back, before the prison, you're still a statistic in a way, being a Mexican-born American.
Yes.
Right? I mean, what was it like growing up for you? What were your parents like? What was it like?
So my father was actually the youngest one. No, he was the second to youngest out of 10. Technically 8 immigrant children. The first 2 they were stillborns. But fast forward, my father grew up in a very, very, very Mexican household. Spoke nothing but Spanish in that household. Where on the other side, my mom was 3rd generation Texan already. And those 2 worlds, when they're put together, it becomes a little bit more Americanized, because my father did grow up speaking Spanish and English. He spoke Spanish, you couldn't tell he knew English. He spoke English, you couldn't tell he knew Spanish. It was just so dead on. He was one of the very few. Because when you could speak Spanish, you could tell, and he just couldn't. They would call him out sometimes and he'd go off in Spanish and they're like, whoa, so I guess because my mom being a little more Americanized, my dad would talk to her a lot in English. So that's what we picked up on. But also where it started was the music. The only time I really listened to Spanish music was if Tejano music was playing, and most of the time it was Selena. But Selena was a bilingual singer, so we listened to the English and Spanish. And, most of the time it was just dancing, with Selena. But we grew up on Michael Jackson, Garth Brooks, George Straits of the world. And then when I got older, the R&B stuff. But I mean, Fort Worth, Texas in the 90s, growing up, man, it was an urban era, And then Fort Worth, there's a lot of cowboy outlaw shit, so it's cool.
Yeah. Did you have I don't know why I feel like asking, did you have a happy childhood? What was it like for you?
It's funny because we just put out a video that talks about it. And it talks about how music and dance were always there. And it shows videos of me to like Charlie Daniels and stuff running around with the guitar and the pacifier in my mouth. And it says you would think that everything went smooth, but it didn't. My parents were young when they had me. They were in high school.
High school?
Yeah. And then my mom, she had to move out. My grandma forced her to move by herself because she wanted to make sure that if anything happened to her, she could take care of me. And that my mom would be good by herself. My dad he jumped out of the picture when I was born, dropped out of high school and kind of left my mom to do it by herself. He got back into the picture when I was about 2, and they lived together. He went back to high school, graduated, and we grew up there in the neighborhood. But to be honest, man, my parents were real abusive with each other. They not only put their hands on each other, but they would put their hands on me. I got beat. They beat the hell out of me. Yeah. Like, I got beat like a man. And I'm not afraid to say it because I don't want nobody to feel like they're alone or feel like, man, this is it. I'll never get my manhood or da-da-da, because that's not true. But they were abusive with each other. And the drugs took a big play with my father, which eventually took his life. And whenever they divorced, I was 9. And the tear between them was hard because I was close to my dad. Yeah. Like, I was daddy's boy, This is my father right here on my necklace.
Oh, man.
I lived with him, and then he had another son, my youngest brother, Jacob. So I lived in the house with Jacob, too. My other brothers we all grew up together, but they didn't live in the house with him. I was the oldest brother. I lived with all my brothers at one point in their lives. So it was hard, and then when I was 15, they kidnapped my dad.
Kidnapped? What do you mean kidnapped?
He got kidnapped. He was involved in a situation, and somebody went 4 o'clock in the morning, pistol whipped him, put him in a trunk. His neck was cut open, everything. He had 14 stitches put across his neck.
What year is this? Because this sounds like today, by the way.
2005. I was 15.
Wow.
And they pulled me out of school. I was in 10th grade, and they were like, my mom was there, and she had this look on her face, and I'm like, oh, fuck. I was like, I'm in trouble again, And they ended up bringing me out to the side, and she was like, I got to talk to you. I was like, what's going on? She's like, we're going to Abuelita's house. Your dad was kidnapped this morning.
Wow.
I'm like, what the fuck? What does that mean? And I'm just confused, like stuck. So I'm in high school at the time. My mom pulls me out, and she's like, they kidnapped your dad this morning. He was in an accident. He's okay now. We're going to your abuelita's house or something. I don't really remember everything. I just remember walking into the house and going into my abuelito's room. Because, they're old schools, so my grandpa and grandma slept in different rooms in their later years. And I go to the room, and my dad's sitting there with an IV bag on his arm. Half his face is swollen shut, and he's got 14 stitches across his neck. And I think that was the first time that I realized, like, life's finna be not what I thought it was. That was Superman. Like, it honestly, like, that's what it hit me, is like, I just saw Superman in the bed.
Yeah.
The man that's, you kind of feel, as a kid, you feel like scared, like vulnerable, like this is the man that's supposed to protect me. Not that he couldn't. Yeah. It's just he got caught slipping. Like, you see Superman in bed, who's going to save us now?
Yeah.
And at 15, like, I was already dealing with certain things involved in certain things in the neighborhood, I went to 12 high schools. That's a real fact.
12 high schools? Mm-hmm. But you lived in the same town?
They were all in Fort Worth area, yeah.
Was this by choice?
No, I mean, I'm moving back and forth between my mom and dad's house for one, too, but also I was fighting in school. I'm always getting in trouble.
Yeah.
Kicked out for this and that, and then there was the gang affiliation, accusation stuff, or whatever you want to call it. But you know what I'm saying? Like, it was just always problems, man. And I ended up dropping out at 17. My dad that situation changed a lot for us. We were really on our P's and Q's after that. I ended up moving to California when I was 18. I dropped out. I didn't have nothing going for me. I didn't have a GED, nothing. And my mom, I got this California opportunity. Mind you, this is after sleeping at Echo Lake. This is a whole process. I used to break dance on the street for money. Like, this was a thing. Boom, I moved to California. She kept it real. She's like, you should go. This is probably why life has been hard for you, son. You were meant to be an entertainer. Go to California.
Your mom?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
So my mom's always had my back, but it's been hard because we grew up together. And it's kind of like almost like she is my mom, and I'll never like try to be outside of that. But it's like almost like a big sister that is your mom at the same time.
Is she Mexican American?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know one person of Spanish descent at all, Mexican or anything, that wouldn't just be like, "Ay, Dios mío, you're not leaving me, not at all. You never leave me. You never ever leave me." The fact that she lets you
My
go.
mom is not being funny, like, is the opposite of a traditional Mexican mom.
That's
like,
amazing.
You know how the vatos that have their mom and they could just run the mom, he's never wrong, and the girl has to deal with that?
Yeah, of course.
I'm the opposite. My baby mamas and my mom ride together. You know what I'm saying? For real, like straight up. But honestly, I like it like that. You know why?
Yeah.
Because I'm not always going to be here. And if I'm not, I'd rather them get along,
Yeah.
And it does suck because she takes a lot of her stuff out on me that dealt with my dad and my family. In one of my songs, like, we had a big argument in the family about it. And Just Be Me, it says, even my mama can't stand the side of my face. I put that in the record a week after she told me in my face, I can't stand the side of your face.
Wow.
Yeah.
You're able to receive these things.
At the time I wasn't. I was broke. I was like, because I always told her, I was like, you judge me because you think I'm him. I'm not. And she told me, she was like, I don't think you look like your dad. I think you look like your Uncle Freddie, and I can't stand his fucking face. And she was angry, like hitting me in my face while telling me. And, she scratches at my mom was real violent.
Yeah.
And, we're open about it now, and like, God's changed her and definitely moved a lot in her. And she is a perfect example of, like, you're never too old to like figure shit out, because she's a daily, like, prayer. She's a daily blessing of like, she's the type of woman that'll wake up and admit her flaws and be like, I fucked up.
Yeah.
And even though she's fucked up and she ain't really told me, and she'll admit it, but she's one of those, I fucked up, but, you know?
Yeah.
And that's why it's so hard. But on the cool, like my dad had his flaws too. You know, so I can't really hold her to him. And the truth is, bottom line, out of everything, all I got is her.
Yeah.
So I gotta love her while I have her.
Yeah. So when did music enter your life with all this
I don't remember
stuff?
a day without it. You talking about professionally, like a career, or just like wanting to do it?
I mean, like you had a rough childhood. You had a childhood, an upbringing that you could have gone a lot of different ways. And you did. It sounds like you were actually a well-rounded individual. The tough stuff, the street stuff, all of the stuff that could get you into trouble, maybe did get you into trouble, obviously did at some point. But there's another side to it. You weren't just all of that.
I was a funny kid.
Right.
I was the goofy kid, man. My guys will tell you from the hood, like, Louie ain't really like wild like that. Just don't piss him off.
Right.
Just like the next guy. But I come from that, so I take shit serious, you know? I'm not a wild. I wasn't a wild, gang-banging, crazy. I thought, did I run around with it? Yeah. I ran up. I did whatever. It don't matter. But all I can say is I was a happy person. And I think that that's what made me act out is because I couldn't be happy. It was just my surroundings weren't that.
Right.
And like I've talked about in previous interviews, like, man, maybe that's our curse as artists. We can only give you the art and make it real if we really go through it.
Yeah. People who wade into discomfort and vulnerability and tell the truth about their stories are the real badasses.
Yeah.
That's a quote from Brene Brown, my hero, by the way.
Nice.
I know you're a badass because I can just hear the way you speak and the way you carry yourself, and I've listened to your music, but I appreciate the fact that you're also a feeling person. You have vulnerability. You have courage beyond yourself, meaning you have courage to know yourself. And so music, when were you writing songs and what were you writing about? Were you writing about things that you thought you should write about because your experiences were just what your experiences were? Were you diving a little deeper into the courage, the vulnerability, maybe the anxieties that you have? Did that come at all in your earlier days of music?
Man, music with writing didn't actually start with music. It started with poetry.
Wow.
So my artist name used to be Louie Evo, and it was love spelled backwards.
Louis Evo.
Yeah.
Wow. Sexy.
You know what's funny? I've never heard it like that. I've always had people be like, what the fuck is that?
Louis Evo. Are you
Like,
kidding me?
I
Like,
know,
where's-
right? That doesn't. Well, I was 19. It didn't come off that cool at the time. It was like, hey, yo, Louie Evo, you know?
Yeah,
It's like, oh, that's cool. Like, now you give it some Barry White.
Yeah.
Some Barry White, you're
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Give it some Barry White, Louie Evo. That's
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
No, that was the name. And
So you were writing poetry and you were saying
Poetry.
what? How old? 19 you were
I
saying?
was 13 at
13.
the time.
Wow.
12. Yeah, so I would write the word evolve at the bottom of every poem because I would go to these slams really early on and these people would talk about their lives, right? And I would talk about mine, but it wasn't happy. It was the opposite of theirs. It wasn't love. So I wrote love backwards one day on a piece of paper, and every poem I would just keep writing love backwards on it. And the writing came from that, and it stemmed from not even really wanting to share it with people, but the fact that writing something down and letting it be here was no longer here.
Yeah.
And I learned that, I guess, early on. And then it's really weird. At like 11 and 10, I was writing like these little book movie scripts. I don't know what you call it. It's like Antonio in San Antonio, 9 years old, wanted to die. I don't even know why. I was already wanting to write like movie scripts and stuff like that and just be involved and stuff. Just wanted to be out of the world I was in.
Do you remember a verse or a passage
I don't,
that you
but
wrote when you were younger?
I don't, but what's funny is I found the notebook that was in a pile of stuff like with Nemo, like a lot of my homies that passed away when I was younger, like all of their pictures and stuff like that. But no, I don't. It's kind of cool that I don't though either.
It's funny because evole almost sounds like evolve. And if you were to look into a mirror into your life, the evole will turn back into love.
Right.
Which is something that you've done with your songs because you have a record out. You have songs, you have music. So let's jump ahead a little bit, okay? So you were writing poetry and then you were also creating music. Were you recording songs?
Man, I'm in high school. I'm already in trouble. I'm in and out of juvenile hall at 14 years old. I'm trying to figure things out. I'm at the after school program, the gang intervention program for the Boys and Girls Club. When I'm like...
Gang intervention program at the Boys and Girls Club.
Yeah, so the Boys and Girls Club has a program called Coming Up in the evening. It's a gang intervention program for the kids to keep them off the street that I grew up in.
Yeah.
And Brian, at the time that worked there, he actually ran the boxing program. I would get on the mitts with him and breakdance there because I grew up boxing at the Diamond Hill Ridge. So I knew all these guys in the neighborhood, and they had a recording studio in the rec.
What?
Crazy part, it was ran by Alfredo Parra, who was only a year older than me. And when we meet in the room, we ironically went to alternative school together 3 years before.
Wow.
And so I would go breakdance at the Rec as a teenager, and I would just jump in the booth. I mean, we didn't really know what we were doing. We know how to record, whatever. But that's where like just the craft started building. Wanted to write better, and I just wanted to do music. Like it was just fun. But in high school, like is when the music started because I was the funny guy, but I wasn't the quarterback.
Right.
So getting the girl was never easy. It was like they always wanted the quarterback. And not being funny in high school, being the bad boy, especially going to like having to go to so many schools, wasn't always a good thing. They're like, that guy's trouble. And then the worst part is the girls that like that, you're doing more dumb stuff to impress them, and then you're in trouble again. So it's a revolving door, but I found the median. And I remember watching Jamie Foxx on TV one time, and he was so funny, but when he got fancy, he played the piano. So when he sits down, he plays this piano. He became this other guy. And when he did, the women looked at him different. I said, I want that.
Yeah.
I want that. And I remember wanting that. And then eventually it became into like, this is who I am. I love this shit so much.
Wow.
Like, I just want to sing. I just want to. Sometimes I love it so much, I get nervous. They're like, you know how to do this and you love this is what you do. Maybe that's why I get nervous, because I love it so much.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because people put the mask on in order to go on stage. I grew up watching Kiss. You know what I mean? So, real showman
I go
stuff.
become the guy. I turn it on.
Yeah.
I'm just a regular person.
Right.
That's why I have to turn it on when I go on stage.
But the true you comes out, you take the mask off, and it's scary. I remember now thinking back, I'm writing songs called like Love Cave. I mean, come on. How stupid is that? It's juvenile. And I wish I could say I was 9, but I wasn't. You know what I mean?
Love Cave.
Love Cave. Because I was afraid to show who I was. I was afraid to just be, because I didn't know. I didn't go on the journey inward. And ma'am, sometimes you got to hit the wall in order to go inward. Yeah. So let's fast forward. You did prison time. You got in trouble. You were already playing music. They knew you could sing. I read a little bit about your story.
Right.
How long were you away?
Just a couple of years. I caught my charge in 2017, went down the next year, and got out in 2020.
Okay. So at the time that you went in, did you think you knew yourself?
Hell no. I didn't even know what was going to happen the next day. It wasn't like I turned myself in. They raided my grandma's house. And so it was just like a wake-up call, man. And God, it was just the worst experience of my life. Aside from losing my close ones, like I just remember sitting there like, dude, you fucked this up. What are we doing here? Yeah. I was in prison. I'm watching Becky G give an award to Cardi B and Leon Bridges on the commercial. Both of these people were in my vicinity and within proxy of me while I was pursuing this. Leon Bridges was my backup singer when he first started. His first time on stage was with me at the House of Blues in Dallas.
Really? What year was that?
2011.
What was the music that you were doing that he was your backup singer?
I was doing R&B music. There was a free show at the House of Blues in the main room, and the co-headliner at the time was a friend of mine that rapped, and he actually put me on his show, but he put me on his show because, I was the one bringing the girls and stuff like that. He was just an older guy that was kind of fading out with the music. And I had Leon singing behind me with my buddy John Gonzalez. And then Octavian was on the piano. And that's how I knew Leon. He used to work at the Rose Cafe behind my apartment. Right. And so I would take him home too. But I knew him, and then Becky had the same manager when I was 18 when I lived in California. So I knew her and her family, and just seeing all them on TV while I'm in prison, I thought it was over.
You thought it was over. So then what happened? What clicked? What changed? What did you do?
Really, I remember doing the song about my dad before I went to prison, and it was a country record. It was called Glad I'm Home. And when I got out, I did another one called I Do It Anyway. And it was literally weird because when I posted it, it went viral on TikTok because they were like, he looks like a North Houston rapper, but sounds like Kane Brown. And at first I was like, oh, this is stupid. Like, I don't want to do this. And then the numbers shot up because they were like, yo, you're like Kane Brown, but like an essay. And I'm like, what's the problem? They're like, no, that's cool. And I'm like,
you see?
So it was always just me being myself because I wanted to always do this and just pursue it right. But the discouragement of being Mexican American and being told that Nashville wasn't going to like me or like what I am if I keep being me, they're like, nah, that's never going to be accepted. And I'm like, you know what? At this point, I ain't never been accepted. Right. So I'd rather be unaccepted in myself than accepted and not myself because I'm never going to be happy. And there's times where I still wake up and I'm like having to tell myself like, why are you complaining? You're never fucking happy, dude. Yeah. Put yourself in the fucking corner and think this shit out.
I want to talk a little bit about some of your songs before this record. You did a song called Alcoholic from Country My Way in 2022. And it really resonated with me because it was deeply personal. You said, I don't want to be an alcoholic. I don't ever want to let them call me by that name. It's not my name no more.
Yeah.
coming to the table with a song and being this vulnerable
Yeah.
and singing something like that, because I quit drinking. I was a raging alcoholic. And so this really spoke to me because I was the party guy, just like you. I was funny. I was awesome.
Yeah.
But I was not awesome. I wasn't good to anybody because I wasn't good to myself. And so you started digging deeper into the country music realm, right?
Yeah.
How does that feel?
I mean, it was never, and again, it wasn't an intention to make a record or like a viral song per se. It was literally just to vent, to literally like let it all out. It was a story about myself and my father, all in one. And I got into an incident the night before, and I had to have a family member pick me up under a bridge. This is 2021. I'm already a year out of prison, and I'm still fucking up. And I don't remember, I black out, whatever. And the next day, I forcefully put myself in AA. And I went to an AA meeting. Yeah, and I saw somebody that I knew. She was there because of probation or whatever, and we talked afterwards. She says, keep coming. And my sponsor, it was an older guy named Gary. And Gary talked to me. He was like, I know you're kind. I was like, what does that mean? He was like, I used to be like you. He said, them hands look like that happened pretty recent. He said, is it all right? I said, yeah, I'll be all right. He says, I'm talking about the other guy. So we became friends after that. I remember the worst part was I wanted to share what I learned with my dad.
Yeah.
But it was too late.
Yeah.
I feel like if I'd have learned what I learned, and I beat myself about that too. Like, man, you could have been a better son. Like, I drank with my father. We did wild shit together.
Yeah.
He was 17 when I was born.
Yeah.
It's just a different relationship. But he was a little rougher. He grew up rougher, and he was the youngest of his brothers. I was taught, you got a problem, fix it. Somebody's in your way, move them.
Yeah.
That's not how you live life, man. Because that's not going to get you nowhere but in a box. And then who's going to take care of your kids when you're in that box? I've already been there, and I'll never do it again. Yeah. So I think where I get joy now out of it is what I did learn, and I can't teach him. I can teach my sons.
What I see in your journey is that you were really going through these changes in your life because you were seeing yourself. You were really seeing yourself, and you were being honest and vulnerable. And it's so hard to be vulnerable because vulnerability is strength. Vulnerability is courage. And as a man, especially as a Latino man, we're just not allowed to do it. The world, society, our parents, our loved ones, you're weak if you're vulnerable, right? Yeah. And I've told this story a few times. I've interviewed veterans that have killed people for our country. And they said, vulnerability, weakness? They looked at me like I was nuts. And I said, please explain. They said, I couldn't do what I did. I couldn't be as strong as I am if I didn't have the vulnerability and the courage to know who I am.
Yeah.
And you being able to reach deep down inside, I applaud you for that. Because this is a world now where so many men are feeling so powerful because they feel like they can, like you say, knock somebody out of the way. There's a difference and a distinction between I am power, right? Or I have power. And in order for me or you to have power, somebody else has to be powerless because it's a game that way. And very rarely are we learning to be empowered.
I think it's scary because a lot of people are like that, but some of us get to the point where they're scared because they do know what they're capable of. And then once again, you're stuck being in that box again. I have walked away, and I've been the hoe in the situation multiple times over the last couple of years. Yeah. Because guess what? I get to go home.
Yeah.
And I didn't hurt nobody.
Yeah.
Nor did I get hurt. I don't know. I just wish I could tell younger me that. But at the same time, if I didn't, I wouldn't get to help out everybody else,
Yeah.
The curse part.
Well, you're right. Yeah. That's what gets me to the next part. Do you feel a responsibility? Now, I've met you, 10 minutes now, whatever this is, 27 minutes, I've known you. But I've seen people come in and out, and there's a reverence and there's a love for you. And obviously, you're at a major record label here. And I can just tell by your face, I think I'm pretty good at this. You're a good guy, and you got a good heart. I just appreciate people that have experienced all of it and can then funnel it and channel it through them. And look, it's not easy. It's not like you're a saint. You're not Superman.
Nah.
Dad wasn't Superman. Louie the Singer's not Superman, but you have superhuman powers.
Yeah. Yeah.
And at this point now, I do believe your journey, your new album, One for the Hometown, country music with your flair, your style, right? It's as American and it's also as Mexican. It's got it all. It's a gumbo because that's what this country is, folks, in case you forgot.
Right.
It feels like you're in a period of comfort. You know who you are.
Yeah.
And now you're able to give back because you're not trying to grasp, I want this and I want that one to love me and I need them to love me and now I need these people to love me. I have to be white for the white people and I have to be Mexican for the Mexicans and all these things. You really sound and you feel, and I can tell because people treat you with the respect. And And that is a responsibility.
Yeah.
To be a man that says, I'm me, for better, for worse, all the good, all the bad, all the scars. Take me for how I am, but I am mindful of you. I am mindful of those around me.
Yeah.
And I applaud you. Tell me a little bit about what it's like for you now to deal with the younger cats that are coming up, to your friends, to your family. I mean, you have a responsibility, and you look like you wear it well.
It is a big one. I've seen so many cats come up in this industry or coming up right now that hit me up, man, Louie, you're opening doors for us. And I'm like, man, no. I'm like, oh. But also, it's one of those things, man, to be honest, like, I'm not Freddie, I'm not Rick Trevino, I'm not Johnny Rodriguez. I wish I was that great. I'm just different, you know, and I think this is the first time that this is happening. So they're ready for me to act up. They're ready for me to, no, they are, man.
When you say act up, sorry.
Act like the Mexican they think I am, or the Mexican that they know I can act like if I ever feel disrespected, just like the next man. So I know walking into these rooms, there's going to be times where I'm tested or taunted or told I can't be in a green room because other artists is there. And I know the moment I act out, I just gave you what you wanted. But the only thing I'm going to do is give you one thing that you know you don't want. I'm going to go on that stage and do everything you can't do. Then I'm going to get off, and I'm going to tell you, hey, good show, it was good seeing you. And then I'm going to walk by, man, because I know that a lot of these Mexican kids ain't going to get no love after this. And the moment they shut that door because of me, I got to tell them I fucked it up for all of us. Yeah. So if I go in there and I do what I got to do and I go home, the job's not done, but it's definitely started.
Yeah. Wow. Maya Angelou has a great quote. My mission in life is not merely to survive, but to thrive. Sorry. And to do so with some passion, some compassion, some humor, and some style. Yeah. If you don't like something, change it. If you can't change it, change your attitude. You remind me. This quote, I searched for like an hour to get this quote because I was like,
that's so crazy.
This is you.
You know what I tell people all the time? I've never heard that, but I always tell people, they're like, man, you're not worried about it? I'm like, nah, man, if you lose and you worry about it, you lost twice.
Yeah.
Just accept the L and keep going.
But you're saying something very poignant. It's like I get mad at myself for doing something and then I'm angry at my anger.
Yeah, so you think about that and you go back and go, I'm not going to get mad.
Yeah.
No, like me and the guys are like that, especially on the road. We're looking at each other like, it's one of those days, right?
Yeah.
Get the fuck away.
Yeah.
And it might not even be me. It might be one of the guys in the band. It's like, I'm just going to go over here and stay quiet. I'm like, all right, cool, go do your thing.
Yeah.
You know, but we all get there.
I'll tell you, I'm a New Yorker, man. I mean, I'm born and raised in New York City.
Oh, yeah, what part?
Queens.
I got people from Flatbush.
Right on. And I lived in Flatbush. Nice. And so when I first came down here, I was in a country band. I was the Jewish drummer. You know, I mean, yeah, I was. I still am. In a country band. And we would tour the country. And they would be like, just don't bring any of that Obama shit from New York. You know, like as racist as can be. And I'm a white guy. I mean, I'm a Jewish guy. Yeah. They don't like me. You know, I get it. But the New York in me, at any given second, you want to fucking talk, man?
There you go.
Want to get down?
There you go.
You want to get loud? I will be louder than you. I will be brash. I will bowl you over. I'm like 5'7", nothing.
Yep. I'm right there with you, buddy.
And I have a mouth on me that won't quit. Right. And it's a badge of honor for me now because I can pull it out. And it's great at parties, right?
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
What I get now is, hey, man, talk New York to me.
Talk
New York to me. And I'm like,
I'm walking here.
Yeah, right there. No, give me something more. And I'm like, dude, why don't you shut the fuck up? Yeah, more like that. And now that I'm getting mad because I'm mad.
Hey, it's more New Yorkers coming out.
More New York. I'm like, maybe do I go to their mother? Nah, don't do that.
Your mother.
Your mother.
Yo, son, it's brick outside. You got a problem? I'm telling you, I got people from Flatbush, bro. It's funny because the saying you're saying has to do with the New York rapper I grew up on, 50 Cent, real heavy. And he had said this quote that I had been saying for years, but I couldn't get it worded right, and he said it right. I don't ever want a problem, but if there's a problem, no problem.
No problem.
Woo! I was like, man, you summed it up for me, brother. Thank you.
That is fantastic. What's it like now? So you have your record out, you're touring. Do you have an entourage with you? Do you have a big band? I mean, like, that's part of the responsibility. Yeah. You're a family-oriented person, obviously.
Yeah.
And you are taking care of yourself, and you're also taking care of others. What's it like? You're on the road. There's people that love you. I'm sure crowds are selling out now, and they really, I mean, look at your smile for saying that. What's it like?
Man, it's surreal. I mean, in the beginning, we had security really just because to kind of help with events and structure things and like line up stuff and kind of keep certain things because I was getting groped, licked, everything you could think of at meet and greets. And that was that. And then it got to the point where they're having a barricade or RV just to walk out of the venue 3 hours in the middle of the night after in Denver, Colorado. We get all this on footage. So when we tell people like, this is what it is, we can't figure it out. He's not on TV, he's not on the radio. We don't know, but the guys help out driving. So the Flores brothers, their security and Big Lou, they all drive. They help out so much. Aldo's part of the band. We got a full piece band. I mean, there's 10 of us at minimum on the road. Yeah. And that's for a show. Everybody has a job. I'm gonna be honest with you. You ever see a bunch of Aldos with me? I'm not the kind of guy to have guys just standing around. Everybody has a job and they get the fuck out. Yeah. But everybody here does so well at helping me. I wouldn't be able to do none of this without people like, of course, listen, Jackie, but the whole squad that rolls with me. Yeah. I've got 2 RVs that run around with me, right? Yeah. With my photo, everything on it. We do the whole 9. Yeah. I purchased those out of my own hard-earned touring money. Yeah. I own both of those. So we hit the road and we go. We have another merch company running out now, but I'm at a major label and I'm still getting to orchestrate the way I want. That doesn't happen. Nope. I sat in this, actually Chris Pettis sat right here. I sat in this chair with a room full of executives, and when we left that meeting, it was one of my big ones. Chris's exact words, when we're in the lobby, I've never seen that. In my 30 years, this is Selena's husband. I've never seen that in my life, Louie. Wow. You stood up, and I did. I stood up right here, and for 20 minutes, I told them exactly who I was, who I'm going to be, and who you'll never make me. And they loved it and accepted it, and I said, I'm home. Right Here on. We are. You change anything, the people are out. I would be.
Because it's not authentic.
Yeah, but not only that, Mexican Americans, we're hard-headed, and we're the first one to say, you changed. Later, I would leave too. Yeah. But nah, man, that's why I'm saying, if I don't change up and I keep it me, everybody else has a chance.
Wonderful. Do you take care of yourself on the road?
Yeah, and that's another thing too. I had a conversation with my guys, which is another one. I love to smoke, don't get me wrong, but like the drinking, I told them, I was like, we got to slow down starting now.
Do you drink?
Yeah, hell yeah. But I can finally control myself. Right. When I say, hey, we're going back by 10 because I got interviews in the morning, we're back by 10. This is a real career now.
Boundaries.
We're all grown men, man. My boys out there married, got kids and shit, some of them. We're grown men on the road, and not in a bad way. We don't do the female thing. I don't trust women like that anyway. I don't trust homeboys on the road, all this other stuff. I got my homies, we cool, what it is, it's love. I keep it moving. I'm not the craziest motherfucker in every city, and guess what? They got crazy people and wild shit going on. Yeah. Just do your little music, Louie, and keep on moving, Yeah. Because, my crowd is a little urban. It is a little bit more street, and I'm cool with that, but everybody's working on the road, and everybody's got a job, so 10 people on the road and 2 RVs heading across the country, man. It doesn't get more fun. It's music, dude.
Yeah. As a man, being vulnerable and rolling with a crew, do you feel like men in general need to talk a little bit more and need to be able to share their feelings? You're an artist and you're a songwriter and you write these songs and you don't need the mask. You roll with a bunch of cats. Do you feel like a responsibility that we could do better just in general as a population of men?
Yeah, with me, it's all guys pretty much, except for the merch team. You know what I'm saying? Like, man, we're all very vocal with each other. Yeah. Hey, bro, man, let me holler at you. Hey, so just doing da-da-da. All right, cool. Hey, y'all need to figure this shit out, man. Everybody cool? Oh, no, it's a misunderstanding, bro. Hey, all right, cool. Just get some shit out. Like my carnal JT Campos, very, very dope actor. In prison, my favorite show was his character, Boaz from Queen of the South, and we became friends afterwards. And he's one of the guys that'll just sit there and vent to me or I'll vent to him. And we're homeboys, come from a similar background. Sometimes we just got to vent before we go do something stupid.
Yeah, I love that. It takes different forms. There's not one way to be good to yourself. Yeah. Do you think you're good to yourself?
I am. My horse would say so. He probably gets, every time I walk in, he's probably like, oh, here he comes.
Your horse?
Yeah. It's like it's been a long day. My horse probably knows me more than anybody. I'll talk to him.
You talking about like a real horse?
Yeah, buddy.
Oh.
Yeah.
Where's your horse?
In Texas. At the ranch. Yeah.
Your horse knows you better than anybody.
Anybody. I just did a meet and greet for my hometown show with him.
Wow. What's his name?
Buddy.
Buddy. Mm-hmm. Oh, here's the Buddy. This show goes out to Buddy.
Cheers, Buddy.
Cheers. That's fantastic. I got a couple of questions for you. My speed round. Are you ready?
Okay.
All right.
These are timed answers then?
Yeah, not really.
So to speak.
I edit this. Actually. What fascinates you?
Music.
Right on.
Music.
That's great. What angers you?
Slow people.
What do you mean?
Man, and I hate to say it because I'm like impatient and I'm wired different, but people that just can't keep up. Like, it's like, dude, now I understand why there's workers, there's bosses, there's people in between, and there's people above me that are making the bigger dollars and they're smart, can just sit down and make when I have to make running around. But yeah, people that are slow.
I always thought the same thing, especially because I am a New Yorker and I drive like a maniac. So if I'm yelling at you, it's because there's a New Yorker behind you. But then I get next to them, and it's like an 84-year-old woman from the South.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Worst,
and I'm like,
dude.
oh, I'm so sorry.
Oh, dude, it's the worst,
I
man.
gotta check my head.
My grandma used to get the middle finger every 5 minutes growing up. I'm like, man, it was so common with her bad driving. I thought it was a friendly gesture by the time I was 9. I'm looking over like, oh, you know him too? She's like, I guess.
Yeah. That's great. What brings you joy?
My family. My kids.
Yeah. How many kids you got?
I got 4 beautiful boys, and if I had a daughter, the world wouldn't know until it was time.
That's great. If you had a magic wand and you could fix something, fix one thing, change it, make it better, just make it the way you'd like it to be, what would it be?
Nothing.
Nothing.
Man. In my life, nothing, because I'm alive, my family's healthy, and everybody's safe. I don't want to jeopardize maybe, the butterfly effect. You fuck that up and things might not go well. And 2, changing anything else in the world, man, that's not my position. That's God, bro.
Oh, good. All right. Now here's the heavy, deep one. Toilet paper over or under?
Over, I guess, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right.
Over.
You're a sane
Okay,
human
cool.
being. Good for
Gotcha.
you. That's a big ding.
Okay.
I have a quote here from Alan Cohen from The Dragon Doesn't Live Here Anymore. Our strengths lie within us, and it is only our permission that can activate their expression. Our problem is not that we are weak, but that we do not believe that we are strong. You, sir, blow me away with your strength, with your vulnerability, with your passion, with your compassion. Your record is great. I listened to the whole thing.
Thanks.
Great songs, country music as it should be, because it's honest.
Yeah.
And you wrote all of the songs. There's co-writers.
There's 2 out of 8. 2 of them I completely wrote by myself.
Yeah.
And then the other ones, co-writers.
Yeah.
Amazing co-writers.
Yeah. Rob Hatch wrote one.
Yeah, Rob
He's a
and
friend.
also Joe Ragusta.
Yeah.
They were on it. They're from New York.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I've loved seeing Rob Hatch.
Man, Joe is funny, man. Those guys are funny.
Louie the Singer, your album One for the Hometown is out right now everywhere. You are on MCA. Your record was produced by Nick Bailey. Thank you for taking the time and joining us here. The Just Keep Talking podcast with me, Brother Love, because your story matters. Thanks, brother.
Thank you, man.
All right.
You can personally support this show simply by clicking the tip link in the show notes. The Just Keep Talking podcast is now available on all podcast platforms. Please like, share, and subscribe. Visit our website at justkeeptalking.com, our YouTube channel at Just Keep Talking Podcast, and Instagram at The Just Keep Talking Podcast. Thank you so much for supporting the Just Keep Talking podcast with me, Brother Love, because your story matters.